This is Help Wanted, the show that makes your work work for you. I'm Jason Pfeiffer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine.
And I'm money expert Nicole Lappin. On Tuesdays, Jason and I answer the helpline and help callers solve their work problems.
And on Thursdays, I give you one way to improve your work and build a career or company you love.
And it starts now.
You made something amazing and people don't get it. Maybe it's a product that customers are returning, or a proposal that colleagues misunderstand, or a process your team isn't following, or someone just ignoring your request. Now you're frustrated. You keep thinking, what is wrong with these people? Today, I will show you the problem. Creating something is only half the job. Teaching others to understand its value is the other half. And that is the half we always forget. When you become a better teacher, your ideas will be taken more seriously, your work will thrive, and people will finally listen. And to see what that looks like, let's start with a company who just realized this for themselves. I recently started using an AI tool called Poppy, which I really love. Poppy is Poppy. I talked with their head of marketing recently, and he told me this really surprising thing. Poppy recently cut its refund rate from 6.5% to 3%. In other words, 6.5% of people used to sign up, pay, and then ask for their money back. But in just a few months, Poppy cut that number in half. How? The answer is counterintuitive and smart, but it requires understanding the product. So I'm going to give you a quick primer so that you can visualize it. Poppy, when you're using the tool, it starts out looking like a whiteboard. Just imagine like a kind of just gray blank screen. And onto this gray blank screen, you can drag basically anything that you want that would be a source material to inform the AI. So for example, maybe it's documents that you have, PDFs of something that you have on your computer, Word docs, or maybe it's a YouTube video of someone talking about something, or it's websites, or it's a voice memo where you just ramble on about what you want to do, whatever it is, Instagram post, anything. And so you drag all this stuff onto the whiteboard, and it's all kind of visually represented there. And then you create a chatbot, and you drag these little lines from any of the source material you want, any of the documents, any of the YouTube videos, anything, to the chatbot. And then that chatbot is instantly informed by the specific things that you gave it. So for example, I built an email sequence using this. I had to do like an email onboarding sequence for a company I work with. So what did I do? I don't know how to do this myself very well. So first I gave it some YouTube instructional videos about email flows that I thought were really smart by just world-class experts. I found some websites with examples of best-in-class emails that I wanted to work off of. I had documents outlining what I needed and all the materials and whatever, and then a website for the company. And then I just told it what to do. And informed by everything that I gave it, it just did it. And it saved me hours. This is really useful, but this is not how most people use AI, right? When you picture AI, you probably picture like a ChatGPT style, just kind of basic chat interface. This is different. This is totally different. And Poppy knows that, which is why it offered free onboarding calls to all new customers. But no matter what it did, that refund rate was stubbornly stuck at 6.5%. That is, until Poppy investigated the problem. So here's how Poppy got poppin'. Poppy reached out to customers who had requested refunds and offered $100 just to get on a call and explain why they're leaving. Like, Poppy just wanted to hear, why are these people canceling and asking for a refund? And that is when Poppy saw the pattern. 90% of refunds came from people who either didn't book an onboarding call or missed their scheduled call. In other words, these customers weren't rejecting the product. They simply didn't understand how to use the product, and then they gave up trying. So Poppy made a bold move. The company started requiring an onboarding call. When a customer signs up for the first time, they literally cannot use the product until they book an onboarding call. And on that call, a Poppy representative will help that new customer build their first whiteboard. Some people complained about this, saying that they were forced into this call, but the results were undeniable. In 1 month, Poppy's refund rate dropped in half. And maybe you're wondering, but did that also shrink the number of people who signed up? The answer is no, because this thing pushing you to an onboarding call didn't happen until after you paid. So this wasn't even friction that people ran into until they were functionally customers. So the lesson here was clear. To succeed, Poppy and you must teach. When people don't immediately embrace what we've created, we tend to assume that they don't like it. But often they simply don't get it. They haven't been properly oriented to see its value, and we didn't think that's our job. The more I think about this, the more I see it throughout my life. Like, for example, I have worked at companies where new systems were implemented, but nobody adopted them. Why? Well, because nobody taught us how to use them. I often ask my sons to do something, and then I'm frustrated when they don't. But you know what? I actually never showed them how to do it. And I've seen managers get frustrated when team members don't take initiative. But, they never taught those team members what good initiative looks like. There is a psychological concept called the false consensus effect, which is worth remembering. We assume that other people think like us and that they solve problems the same way we do. But they don't. People often have no idea what we're talking about, and they won't make the effort to decipher us. Not because they're dumb, but because they have other priorities and limited time. Nothing is immediately obvious. I mean, nothing. For example, when you answer the phone, you often start by saying hello, right? Like phone rings, you pick it up, you say hello. That is not some natural human instinct. You know why you do that? It's because the earliest phone companies taught people to do that in the 1870s because people had no idea what to do when the phone rang. Everything requires explanation. And that's a good thing. It means people want to help, and you can shape their understanding. So here's how to teach like Poppy. There are infinite ways to teach, of course, but Poppy's story offers an instructive model. We are really asking ourselves 3 questions. The first is, what do I know that my target audience does not? In this case, Poppy's team understood the product, but the customer did not understand it. Number 2, the question is, where do people typically get stuck or confused as they engage with my product? Well, the first time that they used Poppy, they either found it valuable or frustrating, and then they quit. And then here's question number 3, how can I help people avoid that confusion? You need to make sure they see immediate benefit the first time they use the product. So to review, question 1, what do I know that my target audience does not? Question 2, where do people typically get stuck or confused? And question 3, how can I help people avoid that confusion? Here's how I approach this myself. I always offer an explanation. No matter what I do, I have built the habit of always explaining my decisions. When I edit a story at the magazine, I walk the writer through why. If I ask my team to do something, I explain its purpose. If I write advice or I share something, even in this podcast, I'm always asking myself, could this be misunderstood? What else needs explaining? Steve Jobs once said, simple can be harder than complex. It's true. Making something understandable often requires as much thought as creating the thing itself. So the next time you create something that others don't immediately embrace, just don't ask what's wrong with them. Ask instead, what haven't I taught them yet? And then teach. By the way, if you want to check out Poppy, I just really like it. I use it all the time. Getpoppy.ai. That's how to find it. Getpoppy.ai. Or just click the link in the show notes. Help Wanted is a production of Money News Network. Help Wanted is hosted by me, Jason Pfeiffer.
And me, Nicole Lappin. Our executive producer is Morgan Lavoie. If you want some help, email our helpline at helpwanted@moneynewsnetwork.com for the chance to have some of your questions answered on the show. And follow us on Instagram at Money News and TikTok at Money News Network for exclusive content and to see our beautiful faces. Maybe a little dance?
Oh, I didn't sign up for that.
All right, well, talk to you soon.